Hi, welcome to my channel. Emerging from the light. I'm going to answer some questions today from Walter in Sydney, Australia. If you haven't heard my experience before, I'd encourage you to check that out before listening to this. There's a number of links to in this channel to different interviews I've done, and they explain the near-death experience I've had. And Walter sent me some questions and asked me to provide some answers. So let's get into Walter's questions, and then I'll talk about how my experience, what I learned, how that might answer some of these questions. You said you were lifted out of the sea of souls because you let others have something you wanted. So how do you apply this to our earthly lives? Do I always have to let others have the things I want? I can imagine I would never find a car park on a busy Saturday morning if I always relinquished the parking spot I just found to someone else. We all want the parking spot. I can imagine I would starve in a war zone, refugee camp, if I always gave others the food and medical treatment that I needed. So yeah, during my experience, I did see that it was valuable and important to sometimes give up what we want or need for the benefit of others. But I think here on Earth, we can get carried away, we could overdo it, and I don't think it's appropriate to always give up what you want or need, even though it is beneficial for our spiritual development to sometimes give up what we want and need. Um, so the car park is a good example. Personally, what I try to do is if I'm in a big hurry, I'll go ahead and take a nice spot. But sometimes if I've got plenty of time, I'm not in a big hurry, then I'll just go ahead and park in further in the back and let someone else who is in a big hurry take the best spots. Let's now look at other non-physical examples of where I can give to others that which I want. The following are emotional examples of where we can give to others that which we want for ourselves, letting them have priority to go first, even though I want to, moving to the other side of the footpath instead of holding my ground and staying on the same side. This is something I struggle with. Letting others win the argument or let them speak even when I want to butt in. Do you have any other good examples? So I think the important part here is that yes, while it's important to and beneficial to let others have what they want or have their way, you don't want to overdo it. You don't want to always give in to some other person. Um, what I try to do is find the right balance. There's times where my wants or needs might be higher than somebody else's wants or needs, but then there's times where their wants or needs are higher. And I try to see, in any given situation, well, who's got the higher priority need, and then even if it's me, that yeah, I'll go ahead and either take the best spot or you know go through the path and let others stand to the side for me. I think it's important to find that right balance. And when we have an argument with another person, um, I think it's important to, we get caught up in the argument like our solution or our viewpoint is the right one, and it's important that the other person hear it. But ironically, I think what's more important is just that we can uh, maintain a polite dialogue, a respectful conversation, and that spiritually, just being able to have that polite conversation is very important. And I think what we really need to focus on in life is just trying to find the right balance. No one's ever going to get it perfect, but that should be our goal. That we try to give other people the benefit of the doubt, and when it's appropriate, let them have the better spot or go first or whatever. But when it's appropriate for us to go first or get that benefit, then yeah, we should go ahead and take that. This is a really important question for me and something I always think about. Just because we're called to be kind, loving, forgiving to others, does that mean we are always passive when others do something we don't like or try to hurt us? Can we still enforce our boundaries? Where do we draw the line? Yeah, I'm a big advocate for boundaries. There's lots of books on this. It's very important in a healthy relationship that we have appropriate boundaries. We can't just always be a doormat for other people and let them go first or have whatever they want. There's plenty of times where other people in our life are not behaving appropriately, or maybe they're doing something that'll hurt themselves or others. And when that's the situation, then yeah, we do need to set boundaries and limits with other people. I think that's an important part of our spiritual development. And you'll notice that people with a healthy lifestyle and a good worldview often have appropriate boundaries. They don't go too far one way or they don't go too far another. They're just trying to have a healthy relationship with others. And part of that is having boundaries. And during my experience, I saw that God has all kinds of boundaries. We have complete freedom within a certain set of limitations, but there's limits, there's boundaries, there's stuff that we can't do that we're not able to do. And a good example would be, we can't just go up to the highest levels of heaven. There's like boundaries in place. It would cause us problems and it would cause problems for the people in those higher levels. So we're limited by those boundaries. And I think it's appropriate to have those boundaries, and we should strive to have healthy boundaries. From the outside, can showing love sometimes look like one is being harsh to people? Would you say that sometimes the actions of a loving person and the actions of a non-loving person look the same from the outside, but it is their inner intention that is different? Yeah, I think sometimes having a loving attitude towards other people can look harsh. If the other people in our life are doing something dumb or that's going to hurt them or hurt others, then yeah, we can. Sometimes the situation might require a harsh response. And although that's not what we want to do, we don't want to be rude or mean or whatever to other people. Sometimes it's required. Sometimes uh, that's just what's needed. And so, yeah, I think sometimes we are going to have some harsh responses. But you're pointing out something here that's interesting about your internal motivation. Like, why are you being harsh with somebody else? Why are you acting that way? And from the outsider perspective, watching someone having a harsh response, it might look the same, but spiritually, it's very different. Your motivation, what kind of rationale you have behind what you're doing, um, that's very important spiritually. And if we have the right attitude and we're trying to do the loving thing, we're trying to help other people, and we just deem that it's appropriate to have a harsh response, that's very different than if we're just going out and being mean to people to be mean to people. It's not the same spiritually, and it does make a big difference. You said previously in an answer to one of my questions, when souls first started coming here and living in the harsh environments, the kind of traits that they were trying to learn were just to gather food or to raise children, very basic stuff. And as we've progressed, we've become to where we're working on more refined skills, such as not being passive aggressive or not accidentally offending somebody. It's kind of like a different level of difficulty. So are my uncertainties over whether I'm doing the right and loving thing, when I wonder whether I should always let others go first or wonder how I should handle someone who's hurting me, and how to do it in a loving and compassionate way, related to that more advanced level of difficulty you were talking about? So I think we are all at different levels of development. Um, when we start our earthly lives, we need to learn to survive, to eat, raise our children. And as we progress further and further, our challenges become more nuanced, like not accidentally offending somebody or not being passive aggressive, setting appropriate boundaries. Those are some of the higher level lessons that we need to learn. And it sounds like, Walter, for you, this is one of the issues that you're working on, is learning how to set the appropriate boundaries and enforce them with others. Um, that's a challenge that we've got to work through and figure out what's appropriate for us and for others. Um, my goal is to have a healthy relationship with others, and sometimes that involves setting healthy boundaries and enforcing them. And it's not the same as struggling to get food and water. It's like a different level of difficulty, more nuanced. Um, I kind of view it as if you've ever seen, let's say a carpenter is going to build a wooden table, for example. They might start with a chainsaw out in the woods to cut down a tree, and then they might have some finer saws in the workshop to cut the wood down, and then they might start with a rough um, planer to cut off the rough edges, and they get some rough sandpaper, and then they get some fine sandpaper, and they progress to finer and finer sandpapers as time goes on, till that table gets worked to perfection. And I think our souls are in a similar situation where the level of difficulty we're dealing with, it becomes finer and finer and more nuanced, and it's not quite the same as struggling to get water. But that's just where we are. That's where we are in our development, to try to work through some of these issues. So I think, uh, yeah, I think setting appropriate boundaries is going to be important for all of us, as well as some of these other more nuanced traits, like not being passive aggressive, or you not offending somebody when you don't mean to. That kind of stuff we need to work through also. I think in one interview, you outlined these three reasons why bad things happen to good people. One, before we were born, we made an agreement with another soul to hurt us when on Earth. Two, we have karma from a previous life or from earlier in our current life. We did something bad then, and now the current pain we experience is balancing of the equation. Three, we need to learn a lesson, and the bad or difficult event is teaching us a lesson or making us stronger. We are taught spiritual lessons from negative or painful situations. Can you please talk about this more, as I've never seen it laid out so clearly, the reasons for our pain and suffering? So this is that famous question, why do bad things happen to good people? And during my experience, I saw that, all these bad things that happen to different people, ultimately it's for their spiritual growth. It helps them get to where they need to be so that they can move on to higher, happier realms and more pleasant forms of existence. For me personally, when I had my experience, I saw pretty clearly that some of the stuff I had done in previous lives, it had negative impact on my current life. Okay. There's mistakes I'd made, things I wish I had never done, times I had hurt other people or abused my power, or whatever. And some of those past decisions directly affected my current life and some of the hardships that I faced in life. And I think people kind of can understand that. It's also called karma. It's pretty straightforward. But a lot of people get caught up on, okay, I did something in a past life, so that made my current life difficult. But I think we need to look at the other side of that, that we can live our life now in such a way that we're setting ourselves up for an easier life in the future. And we do that by being good to other people, being kind, compassionate, helpful, acts of service, helping other people when we can. If we do those things now, then it's going to come back to us tenfold in a future life and make things easier for us. That karma works both ways, and I think we can really, by understanding that and living a life where we help other people, we can really make our journey a lot easier. So I think that's important. But it wasn't just that I had hurt other people in previous lives and now I was getting that hurt. There's more complicated. There's more reasons for it than just that. There's more reasons for why I've had various difficulties. In some cases, it was something I needed for my development, some difficult experience that I would face in life, that would help me, gain the spiritual insight or the wisdom or the experience I needed, that I could grow in the way that I needed to grow. Also, uh, there was times where me going through something difficult was just to help another person, and vice versa. There's people that agreed to various difficulties just to help me. And then also sometimes there's like a unintended side effect of other decisions where it's like, okay, well, this just this experience is just a side effect of these other decisions you've made. And it's going to be difficult, but it's kind of needed to make this overall plan work together. And I saw those four reasons for why bad things happen to me, and it just fits that there's a similar situation with everyone else where the bad things that happen to us life, they could be caused by something we did in a past life. They could be there just for our development or growth. They could be there so that we can help someone else to grow. Or they could just kind of be an unintended necessity to make the rest of the plan work. And there's probably other reasons as well that I'm just not aware of. But those are some of the reasons that I specifically saw during my experience for why bad things were going to happen to me in life. But overall, I'd say it felt very fair and reasonable, and that there's a huge benefit to us for going through these kinds of difficult experiences. And in the end, when we get through with life, we're going to see that it's all been worth it. Are there any other reasons you can think of other than these three for the pain and suffering we experience in life? All right, so I did mention the unintended consequences of other decisions. And then I think there are other reasons. I just don't know them. I only have those four reasons that I listed, and I couldn't really say beyond that what other reasons there are for bad things happening to good people. Let's say a soul A an agreement with another soul B to hurt them in their next life so that B would learn a lesson and grow spiritually from being hurt. Does soul A still receive negative karma from hurting soul B? You previously said souls receive 10 times the bad that they sent out. All right, so first off, I want to correct one thing there. I didn't say that we get 10 times back the bad things that we do. I said that we get the bad things that we do, they come back to us. But the good things that we do, they come back to us tenfold. That's what I saw during my experience, that there's like a math to this or an accounting to it, and that we pretty much get what we have given out. And that's the like the accounting of that. It's like a good example is when I beat up somebody else in a previous life, and then during this life, I was going to have my nose broken. Um, how I had acted in that previous life, it's like it was viewed in the kindest possible lens to me, while still being fair. I was given every benefit of the doubt I could be given. And then when it was equated to my current life, like balanced out, it was viewed in like the worst possible light to me. So I got the benefit on both ends of the benefit of the doubt or the best viewpoint, and they were balanced out that way. So there was a lot of forgiveness or margin of error. I'm not sure the right word for it, but on both sides of this equation, I was given the favorable measurement of things, and it was balanced out that way. But the positives we do, I saw this also pretty clearly that those are rewarded with interest. Okay. When we help somebody, that's going to come back to us with interest. It's not just a one-for-one correlation. But the bad stuff we do, that is more of like a one-to-one correlation. So that was pretty clear. When we have agreements with other souls and they do something bad to hurt us, uh, it seemed to me that yes, they do get some negative karma from that, but that it's not nearly as bad as whatever sort of negative karma that you're giving up. The overall effect of whatever planned event is that humanity is going to progress and have less negative karma. This one experience where this guy broke my nose, I think, yeah, he did get some negative karma. It's going to be a small problem for him, but the negative karma he relieved me of was significantly more. So I think overall it benefited humanity, and somehow it all works together, and it helps us move forward, even though it can seem kind of strange or difficult from a human perspective. When Soul A has their life review, will they be told that when they hurt Soul B, it was pre-planned, so therefore Soul A won't have to experience the pain Soul B felt when Soul A hurt them? As you know, and as you recounted from your own NDE, when souls have life reviews, they feel how their actions impacted those around them. They feel the emotional impact of their actions on others. So when each soul has their life review and they see that event play out again, they're gonna know one way or another that some of this stuff was pre-planned, and that will affect how they feel about it. Our entire life experience, everything we've been through, that plays a role in how we feel about things that we've done. A good example would be if you have a kid who grows up in a very difficult, abusive home, and they go through life, and let's say they're mean to someone, um, they're going to feel a very different feeling about that compared to someone who lived a nice life with good parents who were nice to them, and let's say they did that same sort of mean thing. They would feel worse about that because based on their life experience, what they've been through, they should have conducted themselves a little differently. And all that plays seamlessly together, or it affects how we feel, and that's all. It might sound kind of convoluted or difficult here on Earth, but from a spiritual perspective, it's all very easy and simple. Our whole life is very simple from a spiritual perspective, and so the ability to take all these different um, uh, mitigating factors into account, like what was pre-planned, that's done perfectly. And some of this pre-planned stuff, I think the way God does it is maybe a little different than it seems. The way I view it is like God knows us perfectly and knows exactly how we're going to handle certain situations. And so he'll put a soul in a situation knowing exactly what they're going to do according to their free will. And they're still kind of like held to account for how they engage in that free will, even though that entire situation was planned out. Um, Somehow it comes together beautifully from God's perspective, although it might be kind of confusing or difficult from our perspective. Do you think we keep the same personality and character we have on Earth when we transition to the afterlife? How much are we the same when we cross over? I'm amazed that some NDEers say we are the same, as I would think that all of the all-encompassing love we experience in the spiritual realm would change us. It would change what we value and how we see things, our perspective on everything. Will I really have the same personality over there? At times, I have had trouble making friends here on Earth, so I hope that I can make friends over there. The souls will like me even if I have the same personality. So what I experienced was that I was still me when I crossed over. I still had the same thoughts, the same viewpoints. I was basically the same, but uh, with each passing moment, I was more and more aware, intelligent. I was like a better and better version of me with each passing moment in the afterlife. I think other experiencers have said something similar, that you're still you. It's like it still feels like you, but I think a better version of you. Some of the flaws you might have, or whatever intelligence you have, or physical disabilities, like those are gone. And some of your flaws in life, they're not there, and you're more intelligent, you're more wise. It's a much better form of existence. And the other thing is with friends, first off, yeah, you're going to have plenty of friends. That's not going to be an issue at all. And some of these challenges we face in life, like I'm kind of an introvert. Like I like other people, but I'm kind of introverted and have trouble sharing at times. Um, like in the spiritual realms, we don't have that kind of limitation. I'm self-conscious at times. I know other people are as well. All that stuff is gone. Okay. It's so much easier to connect with other people. But the irony here is, let's say you have trouble in life making friends, which I understand. Um, when you get to the afterlife, when you get to the spiritual realms, and it's easy for you to make friends, it's going to feel all the more rewarding because you've been through this difficult experience of having trouble making friends. And so you're going to appreciate the friends that you have in the spiritual realm more. It's gonna feel more intense. It's gonna make you happier that you've been through this difficult experience where it is challenging to make friends on Earth. I get that. A lot of people have that trouble. Um, but that's actually going to complement your experience in the afterlife, when it's so much easier to have friends. And it won't be the same kind of situation. You're going to be doing just fine. You're going to have all kinds of souls around you that are just like you, who have had the same difficulties, and they won't, judge you. You won't judge each other like that. And it's just going to be wonderful. And you're not going to have any trouble with friends when you get to the spiritual realm. Um, but anyway, thanks, Walter. Thank you for the questions. I hope I've provided helpful answers to some of these based on my experience. I appreciate the suggestions on how to make this video a little better. Hopefully, it's been helpful to you, and hopefully some other people. But I guess we'll see. Thank you.